r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. What historical facts sound fake but aren't? The fact that 2 times the Mongols attempted to invade Japan and both times a storm sunk the invasion fleet. An Australian Prime Minister went missing while swimming at a beach. In his honor, the US named a warship after him, while in Australia his local electorate named a swim center after him. US President Zachary Taylor passed away, having served 16 months in office, after eating far too many cherries and drinking milk at a 4th of July party in 1850. He died on the 9th of July from gastroenteritis, thought to be caused by the acid from the cherries. Milk and cherries, geez, what a lit ass party, lol. At least into the 1970s there were still Japanese World War II soldiers fighting. They believed the war was still occurring. Edit. Some more info. There have been reports of a few holdouts as late as the 1990s, but these have not been verified. It would be insane if they were true though. Yo, I heard about this guy on an island in the Philippines that kept at it until the 70s, till another Japanese hippie type went and found him and brought him back home. The soldier in question was disappointed with the state of his country post-war. I think the hippie was actually his superior in the war. Operation Acoustic Kitty. A $20 million CIA project in the 1960s which implanted a microphone, radio transmitter, and wiring to a cat, for the purpose of spying. The first mission involved releasing the cat near a Soviet compound in Washington to spy on 2 men. The cat was released and hit by a taxi almost immediately, and the project was discontinued. The can opener, 1858, was patented 48 years after the tin can, 1810. Did they just squeeze them till the tops popped open before that? Yes. When men were men and all. King Carl XIII of Sweden doodled penises all over his private diaries in 1785, when he was 37 years old. The Christmas truce of World War I. It honestly sounds too good to be true, so I'm glad that it was real. It just goes to show you that deep down none of them were the bad guys in the war, no matter what flag or country they fought for. They were all just soldiers that had to follow orders from their COs. It really sucks that it only lasted once and has become banned ever since. There was a corporal in the Polish army during World War II who was a beer drinking, cigarette smoking bear. If Gavrilo Princip didn't go to local deli to get something to eat, he probably wouldn't have encountered Franz Ferdinand driving right by, and wouldn't have killed him. World War I either wouldn't have started, or would be completely different if it wasn't for Princip's lunch and a driver's wrong turn. French soldiers on horseback once attacked, entered and captured a Dutch ship in the sea. The sea was frozen. As of 2020 at least, President John Tyler's grandson was still alive. That's 10th president of the US, John Tyler, who was born in 1790. I haven't seen any stories about his grandson dying, so I assume he's still alive. It would be an interesting enough story that it'd be one of the top stories for a day or two. That Kyoto was saved from being bombed cause the security of war went there for his honeymoon and loved it. It then was switched to Nagasaki. The brass wanted some pristine cities not to be firebombed to demonstrate the A-bombs on. Kyoto was one of the cities on the list. It was taken off because it had zero military or industrial significance. Pure cultural center. Boxcar's primary target was Kokura, but it was cloud coveted. The secondary target was Nagasaki. The last year the guillotine was used to execute someone was the year Star Wars came out. Thank you Vsauce. On the 2nd of September, 1944, a man was deployed to take out a radio station on Bonin Island, a strategic point held by Japan. His plane was struck by machine gun fire. He glided his plane out over the water as far as he could, while on fire, and ejected. He was still dangerously close to the island and was close to capture, which he most certainly would have been tortured and or executed. Luckily a US ship happened to be nearby rescuing him as a Japanese boat was heading out to get him. That man was George Bush. Legend has it that the army of the Habsburg Empire lost about 10,000 people in the Battle of Karansebes in 1788 before the enemy, the Ottomans, even arrived. Basically they were drunk and thought the enemy had arrived and started fighting between themselves. The legend part is just the casualties. The event itself did actually happen. It's just debated whether it was anywhere close to 10,000 people lost or just a few hundreds killed and thousands injured. King Henry VIII's body exploded in his coffin. He ate really rich and unhealthy foods, too much meat, and probably still had loads of food still in him, so that doesn't sound wrong. Could be remembering it wrong, but some king or something got kidnapped and ended up making the kidnappers raise his ransom because he thought he was worth more. That's Julius Caesar. He even joked about how he was gonna get the kidnappers killed and they laughed. They got crucified later. Edit. Correction. Liechtenstein's army returned home with more people than it left with. When the war ended on the 22nd of July, the army of Liechtenstein marched home to a ceremonial welcome in Vaduz. Popular legend claims that 80 men went to war but 81 came back. Apparently an Austrian liaison officer joined up with the contingent on the way back. During World War II it was perfectly legal to kill pilots who were descending by parachute. Charlie Chaplin was old enough to watch Star Wars. Anne Frank and Martin Luther King Jr. are born in the same year, 1929. The Queen is 3 years older than Anne and MLK. Born in 1926. Marilyn Monroe is as old as the Queen. Thanks Vsauce for telling me my life is a lie. Betty White is older than sliced bread. The shortest war ever was between England and Zanzibar. The latter surrendered after 38 minutes. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. Have a nice evening.